really surprised by Mito giving up the house for the casino.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was the one, that's what threw me was like, wait, he's actually gonna do this. But I also think it's a good thing for his healing. Like I think it's good to
Yes. It's
heal.
like it works in two ways. It can like not just be there as this horrible visual reminder of the tragedy, and then the healing part of it was like just a little too everything. Oh, perfect. Just like a
Yeah.
sitcom, you know, the 30 minutes and everything. It worked out even better than I thought, because I know when Renee asked us about that, I had doubts about how it could end up perfectly with that few pages.
Mm-hmm.
I bet Mito doesn't come back, so that was one thing.
Yeah.
I was glad he did.
Better than if he had.
I was glad he did give up the land. But I also felt like it was part of a healing process for him to do that.
Oh yeah.
And trying to help him get back into the strength mode of life other than drinking and his sorrows.
Yeah, it makes me think back to when he called and talked to the auntie, and she said, "We need you." Like, did they all know that this was going to be part of the plan, that they were waiting for him to come back and like actually grant the land?
Right. Yeah, they didn't really say if they had discussed that he was going to do that, or if he at one time had said he wanted to do it.
Right.
It never even occurred to me that could be feasible for them. And I only realized it was his land to give away to the tribe.
Yeah, it was
one thing that did kind of strike me, though. You know how when they're in the meeting, the chief is a symbol of so much respect and authority, and I don't know if this guy just inadvertently came into the chief position because Mito was supposed to have it, but it just seemed like when this idea was brought up at that meeting, everyone just talked over the chief and was like, yeah, we're doing it. And like, didn't even give him the respect they're supposedly give to the chief. So that was kind of like, well, I thought the chief commanded respect, but I thought, well, maybe this is because they're trying to illustrate in two ways that this isn't the right person for the chief job. And he wasn't actually the chief or supposed to be, but he was just doing that role, you know, in the meantime or whatever, since Mito could not do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So any other things that kind of brings us to our second question? Any other endings you were imagining that didn't happen, that were different? Would have been different?
I mean, I was imagining the casino just not being built at all.
Yeah. I thought somebody was going to die, for sure.
Like, I thought somebody was going to die.
Me too. I think because he was telling us about like how old they were and the illnesses that the aunt was having, and then the dad was the alcoholic, all of those things, I guess.
And how I thought it was going to be the uncle that was going to die, because he's just slowing down. And when they're getting off, knew that one time where he was having the talk when it was like just a few words, but he could like understand everything. I was like, oh, he's gone, or he's going to be not make it much longer. He can't get out of the boat even. They're showing like he's steady decline. So I was shocked that he started to get better, and so did she.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
But I think that also shows how those two are connected too, because like they talked about the journeys that they've gone on. And then now, you know, she's starting to take her medicine and he's getting better as she's getting better. So I think it definitely shows how those two are connected.
Chris almost says that directly about how he's more spry because Auntie's doing better, and then poof, he's better. Uh-oh, we lost Julie.
Right. Uh-oh, we lost her.
She'll come back, I bet.
Yeah. But we can go on to another question that she has.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's
what
good.
Do you think, or what would you like to think Chris will be when he grows up? A politician, the chief? I don't know. I think he'd be the chief for sure.
And they already respect him, and he's like 13.
Yeah. Right.
The whole town, the public and the principal, not even people associated with the tribe he's commanding respect from all of them. And that's one thing in the ending I did not expect him to get all of those public officials, the the radio personality, the newspaper, everybody was there
Right.
for this. I didn't think
Oh,
they were
yeah.
going to make it actually change. And it was like, oh. And I guess I didn't know that much about the coach being from a Japanese family that had actually been in internment. Like that issue didn't really show itself earlier in the book until this third section. And I was like, whoa, he can relate to, oppression. And
Yeah.
Right.
so
Definitely.
then he got his, support right off the bat. And I was like, well, if you have the coach from the football team support, like in any school around here, I swear that's like all you need.
That's all you need.
Our coach and our athletic director are like the same guy. So if you have his support, it happens.
And it was sort of neat too that everything started to look like go toward the positive in his life. Coming like recognized for his academics and then the wrestling piece and then just him over. It's a great thinker and to be a good chief. So maybe that will be his future.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm for sure think he can't. His whole like persona and his life and everything that he's gone through, he's part of the tribe. He's part of the reservation. It's him. So I don't think he would just go away and be a politician for like the other people in the world. I think he's, no matter what he does, it's going to be something that helps the reservation and helps the tribe and helps them to grow and heal.
Yeah,
Right.
definitely. All right. Do you think the wrestling team recruitment held any significance?
It showed him getting like physically fit in gym class and how they were admiring that he was just such a, like, he doesn't really mention that he's tough. In the beginning, you think he's really weak because he's like afraid of being in middle school and how he's going to get beat up in the bathroom in that early scene.
Yes.
So kind of shocking that he was able to like pull off that physical feat and then be like, oh, the wrestling team wants you. I mean, that's like the pinnacle of tough athleticism in high school. I think I think that wrestling.
Well, I also think it brings back that whole like deer and wolf aspect from the beginning.
Yeah.
How the deer was the prey and the wolf was the predator, and how like that wrestling team, you really have to be a predator to be a wrestler because you always have to be looking and thinking. And so that wrestling kind of brings back the idea of him becoming the predator.
I love how you just stated that. That's a good thought.
I take it you guys jumped to the wrestling team recruitment significance question, right? When I
we're on that one.
Cool.
We talked about the other one too while you were off, but
okay, that's okay.
Check it out.
Okay.
What's next?
Yeah, no, I agree. I definitely thought there was like something to it, but they just didn't really go into it that much. It was just sort of like this kind of side note, right? But then it didn't really develop. So I'm with you, Jessica. I totally thought the same.
I also think it brings in that whole Thumper Wheelock connection too.
That was cool.
Of how, everybody thought that he's this big guy, and then Nicola ends up in the bathroom and realizes that he's not this big scary. And now Thumper is wanting him to be on the wrestling team and is like encouraging this. So it kind of shows that beginning of a friendship between Nicola and somebody who people think have power.
Yeah.
And he's totally got his back on the moose mascot. Which I was surprised.
Yeah.
I mean, I get how the moose is the symbol and it's like a beautiful creature. It just sounds funny when you say like Rangerville Moose, because moose is like itself.
I thought that was pretty cool how they came up with that idea, though.
Yeah.
Something relevant that actually is. And actually, when they saw the footprints in the yard together, I thought that was cool at the school.
Yeah. Yeah. That was cool.
So the last two questions are, oh, sorry, Jessica, were you going to say more?
No, go for it.
Okay. The last two questions were about kind of him getting to know Katie better. There was the one like about her revealing her heritage as a Mohawk and how she kind of knew that Chris had made this assumption about her being a Cherokee princess. So I was just wondering if you thought that
he learned anything from that whole generalization that he and his friends had made and chuckled about her being a Cherokee princess, because she was clearly half Native American, right? And then they were sort of generalizing on that. But they also know, but there was so much reference about like the like phony Native American chants and the things that they were doing at the games, right? So those were things that were really present and like that he was very aware of. So it just always surprised me that they too, you know, were sort of,
they did it even though they were so aware of it happening all around.
Even though they were also victims of this like cultural generalization. So it was I think
it's cool to show he's not above it, you know what I mean? Like he doesn't look down on everyone for doing it, because like, look at me, it even can happen.
Right.
Yeah. So I guess we could clump those two together. Like, one, were you surprised about her heritage and that she also called him out on, like, I bet you thought I was a Cherokee princess, but also she mentions that she doesn't see her dad much. And then that prompts Chris to say the same about his dad. And then he even goes on to say, and my mom died in a car accident. And he paused and was like, why did I tell her that? And I just thought, like,
she wasn't trying to get pity or whatever. Yeah.
Right. And he's not the type of guy to do that. But was he like, was it a moment of connection? Was it a moment of relating to each other? Like, was it a moment of like offloading some grief because it was just this like reality of life? You know, I just thought it was really interesting and wondered if Bruchak included that, like the way he does so well for any particular reason, but so subtly.
All right, guys, I got to go to my other meeting.
Jess, do you want to share anything about your stuff before you go?
I can share mine really quickly. It won't take me long.
Okay.
Let me present now. So I just kind of did a quick illustration. Yours is so much better, Carrie, but
I found these three images. That's why.
So I just used like the one slide, and I just wanted to bring it all together. So I did like the casino, the island, the football team, alcohol, and then like I did the father son, and I masked it into a heart just to kind of show everything that weighs on his heart and what he worries about and cares about. And then I brought in like the deer and the wolf again, of like that symbolization of him turning from the prey to the predator. And then on top of it all, this is the Pennacook tribe symbol. So kind of showing how the tribe is the top of everything for him.
Cool.
And the most important.
Love it.
That's my illustration.
That's cool.
So.
Well, this is my
everything together in the heart.
You guys saw my like slides, but I painted something and I said I was gonna do it, and then I burnt the edges. It's a moose. You can't.
Oh, cool.
Riding in the canoe. I haven't finished painting yet, but I'm gonna try to put some more color behind there. And the bridge, I wanted the bridge as part of the symbolism, and that's the island. And I had to go in the shop room to burn it because I didn't want to set off the fire alarm here. So that's what.
I'm impressed.
Because of the fire, you know?
Yeah.
So I charred the edges of the paper to kind of symbolize that. My slideshow, I'm just going to take a picture of this and use it as my final slide.
Oh, that's awesome.
But I'm not going to put a ton of description because I'm the illustrator. Why should I have to explain myself? Use your mind to figure it out. When I'm the connector, I'll put a lot of words.
Yeah.
Speaking of connector.
Lost.
Should I share that?
Okay, I just lost you guys for a second, but I'm back.
Okay. Do you want to do the connector piece?
You present your thing. Do you want to present?
Sure.
Or you can fly through the slides however you want.
Well, I just hold on one second. Let me present it. Are you guys there?
Yes.
Yeah, you're frozen, but we're here. We can hear you.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I can't get up the.
Should I try and then you can just talk through the slides and
Yeah, that would be better because
I can present
don't
it.
have the three dots.
I have your thing
I
up here.
sent it to you guys. I don't have the 3 dots in order for me to present.
Okay, here it comes.
Okay.
Nope, this one. Okay. Can you see it?
Okay. I can't see it.
Oh. Can you just look at your own screen? I'm on slide
Yeah.
1. And just tell me to click through the slides if you want.
Oh, okay. If you're on slide 1.
I'm on the slide after your title slide.
Okay. So I just gave an outlook of how I decided to put the connector piece together. So if you go into slide 3, it's just my reflection about the story itself and becoming the connector. But the main parts, I had the aha moment on page 142 when Chris was introducing the football coach to Father Bennett. We didn't discuss anything on that one yet, so yeah. we can talk about that. But how they shook hands, and then Chris was called the Heart of the Chief at that time. That was where the title came, and then that's where my aha moment was. And like, oh, I can see now some connections with, again, people in his life and where the title of the book came in. But again, we also talked about how Chris just has all of those characteristics to being the chief. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But really, my slideshow is
too.
Yeah.
When he actually.
But if you look at, yep.
Oh no. Did we lose her?
She'll be back, I think. I don't know.
So
weird. If I didn't even want to try to do this from home because the last time we lost, I couldn't join back in. It was like the internet went away.
We have had the worst luck with this one.
I know, and we were all looking forward to it so much. We talked about it.
I'm just going to send my husband a quick text to tell him we had some issues and we're running late.
I went to the next slide for her. She might want to take the background off because sometimes that makes it slower.
Oh.
Or it can cause problems with you. Here's her connections. I'm on. Can you see?
Yeah.
It's basically just saying text to self is what it is. So then questions about that you would use for your students. And then here's our example of text. Oh, that's funny. She says Chris is in the research group, and here we are. Group discussions.
Shoot, are we going to get her back?
I don't know. Should we go through them just as like keep discussing it? I don't know.
Sure.
She has, for text to self, Dowda is very knowledgeable role model in Chris's life. Do you have a relative? So she does like self connections that would work well with the students if this was a activity to do with them.
Yeah, these are all really good questions. Chris is in the research group with other students discussing what they have learned at lunch.
Have you ever had any group discussion where you were outside of a class?
And here we are in our group discussion. I like this last one where she
Yeah.
says, have you ever completed a presentation that you were proud of and wanted to make a difference? I love how his presentation is really like set to take on a huge controversial issue in the community.
Yeah, that
I think
part.
it's kind of rare that I've been in a group that actually was doing that.
Yeah. I've heard of it a couple of times with kids like lobbying for some, kind of civic change or something and it working, which I think is so cool and so impactful for young people to realize like, well, wait a minute, if I can put together the facts,
Yeah,
I can make a huge difference and like put together a compelling argument. Like that's a really valuable lesson at a young age.
oh yeah.
So
Community
I like
activism, if all of the students could do that and wanted to be involved, would be so great.
yeah.
And then
Yeah.
text itself on this slide.
Wow, she has a lot of good questions.
Reading about Chris's aunt with the 2 languages and then talking how her personal connection was Spanglish, what English-Spanish mix in El Paso when she was teaching there.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So sorry, I guess you guys lost me, but now I have a really good connection.
Oh, good.
So
We're on
I don't know where I cut off.
slide to text to self connections. Do you see where we are?
Oh, yes.
Your questions were all
So,
good. We loved them.
Yeah, they're really great.
Oh, great.
you're-
And like I was just saying at the end, I mean, if you look through the slideshow, it's more or less me wanting to use this again.
Yeah.
And then wanting to implement it in the classrooms. But also, I just loved that you could also use it as a mentor text.
Yeah.
Take parts of it out to teach kids. Because I was saying, did you hear when I said that Oshkosh West here in Oshkosh had to change their mascot because it was the Indians?
No. I didn't hear you.
Yeah. So they went through this whole thing, but this would have been a really cool idea for the students to bring it into their classrooms and do a debate on it and why they needed to change it. And I thought that would be really cool.
It would have been nice to just know the perspective of, because a lot of people who are non-native or, indigenous tribal people, they don't understand that it's insulting and they can't understand why would they be insulted if this is used as a mascot? We're holding it in a place of honor, but not
right
at by people who are from the tribe. So that would be really, I think it would be really important because I even learned a lot about how the perspective of it. Here's your text to text.
Yep.
As a one to use.
And again.
And then for this.
Yep. And then this was. Yep. And then it just gives some ideas. I was looking at the research one where Chris was ready to do that study group with other students. And then just ask the kids what other research have they done that they'd like to talk about. But I think if I was in the classroom again, I think I would try to get them to bring it more to life as well. Because then they're going to get more involved in their research and really learn more if they have the community come in and learn from them.
Yeah.
I think that
would be definitely helps for sure.
Yeah.
But it's not like you can tell them. That's the hard part. You got to get them fired up to learn. Passion has to be ignited for them.
Yeah. So then
it just goes on blessing too. That's cool. Yeah. I don't know how many kids would be familiar with blessing their food or blessings, praying at all in general, sort of.
Right.
You never know.
I know you never know, but
yeah. And you guys read a lot on Jacqueline Woodson, but I just did my book talk on Jacqueline Woodson, the Brown Girl Dreaming.
Yeah.
And in there she learned a lot from her grandfather, and he was somewhat the same type of role model as Doda was to Chris.
Oh, cool.
It was really neat. So I think if I were to teach it, I would take that part out, some of the parts about Doda, and then the part about Jacqueline learning from her grandparents about life in general.
Like poo-pooing them because they're older. A lot of young people do that sometimes. So.
Right.
Getting them and actually respecting that have knowledge that
Right.
you could gain from. So I'm going to switch to
Right. Stop and listen to them. That is what Jacqueline always used to say, stop and listen to them, because you'll have so much more knowledge about where you came from, how they, because she was living up during the civil rights movement.
yeah.
She was, and that's where she learned a lot. So, yeah.
That's a great
But
question.
again, the whole slideshow goes in the same format of all the connection pieces,
Mhm.
and then how we can ask students questions, and then also how the adults how I connected to the book as well.
I like your connection of Trail of Tears, and just like reading about the Trail of Tears and through the perspective of different texts. It's kind of interesting too, because like the Laura Ingalls, you don't even really know that's a terrible thing happening at the moment.
Right. Yeah.
To make it a little more romantic than it has to be. And then text to world.
Yeah.
I'll go to the ones where you.
Yeah. That's where that Indian mascot comes in about Oshkosh. And then
Oh, right. That's a good one.
also about building the casino. Chris and his friends did not like the idea of their land being used to build the casino, but we do have them all around. And then how would they feel about
It
them
seems
being
like
built?
they weren't as sad once it wasn't going to be the island, too.
Yes.
They were more willing to. There were places like they realized suddenly where I put that quote in my illustration about how he's like, the quote about the circle of life, and if it doesn't go to the circle, like using that burnt up piece of land was like good to put it back in and use it for something that would help the community grow and they would all prosper from an actual casino. And he doesn't think of that. What does he see? An eagle or something that he gets like, suddenly it dawns on him like this is going to help us. And he was kind of against it until then.
Yeah. But overall, I loved the book. I'm glad she had us read it, because again, I'm not sure if I would have pulled it off the shelf to read it.
Yeah.
I like that cartoon I found. Text to text, text to
That
send,
is
text
fun.
to
Yeah, I
world.
like it too.
Leave it to school to take the fun out of texting.
Cute.
That's cute.
Got to put it into our world today, right?
Yeah. You did a really good job. I liked all your questions and I liked all your connections. I thought it was good.
Thanks. Like I said, though, I had that teacher thought process going on. Like, how can I use this again?
Yeah, that's good. I'll share my thing quick if you want.
Yeah.
These images, I sent you guys a link to those slides that were just different new slides that you could use instead of the old Google slides if you're getting sick of them.
The carnival. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, well, so I was using those, and then I found like a little pop-up came on my screen, and it was for images that I could use while I was, using. So I thought, I'll try them. And there were so many cool ones in there, and they were free, without.
Yeah.
You could use them.
This is awesome. I love this.
When I saw this moose, I was like, oh, it's perfect. So I just put like a few words on each. Mostly I just wanted the images to speak to the feeling. And I like this bridge being like, even though it wasn't over the water, I liked how it was kind of like unknown around the corner up there. And I feel like he was a bridge by being a physical bridge for the aging people that were surrounding him. But then his parents, he's repairing a lot of the tribal relations, especially in the end. And I put that before I like even knew for sure like what was going to happen, I think. But how he really helped the tribe realize it would heal.
Sorry.
What's that?
Will you go back one?
Sure.
I like this canoe one, and I like the quote you put up there because it makes me think of in the beginning of the book when Chris talks about going out in the canoe with Doda and how like hard it is for him to walk to the canoe and get in, but he can paddle so strongly. So when I saw this, that really made me think of that and just Dota's overall largeness of character.
Yeah,
In
I was
Chris's
thinking of that too.
like he is also just one person who
How
makes a
he
huge
speaks
difference.
so little in it. It's so deep. So understood.
Yes.
And this is the quote. This is where it like dawns on him about the casino. It would be a good thing, where his kind of was looking at it negatively the whole time. But I feel like it's almost Kirsten's idea to have Mito donate that. When he's there thinking and he runs and then he like goes and talks to everybody. I wondered if it was his idea.
Oh,
Get that
good
impression at that
question.
part in the book where he's like, I had to talk to a lot of people to get it, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, now that you bring that up, yeah.
I was like, oh, is this Chris's influence happening here? Just he's such a small person, but he's making huge difference.
Yeah, there's so many subtleties in this book.
And he acts like he's insecure in the beginning, where he's like worried about being that bathroom scene with the big bully, and then he just didn't back down at all through the whole book. I just kept thinking, this is not what I thought was going to happen. I thought he was going to get taken advantage of now and then, but he never did. He stood his ground all the time and just seemed to have confidence, even though he didn't know he had it.
And it's sort of like in elementary school, he didn't have any confidence at all. And then once he started to see how middle school was, he just kept seeing the positives and the successes.
Yep. And then I saw this as a chief.
Oh, yeah.
The role of a chief is to listen to everybody and not to like judge and rule with one hand. They seem like I love that whole idea that they aren't allowed to make decisions until everybody's agreeing.
Yeah.
Right.
So different from how our country. So I felt like this gave hope for the tribe at the end. And my last slide is going to be my image that I
love that.
painted.
It's very good.
But I want to add some more.
I like that. You did that all by yourself? I love it.
Yeah, right. Like it's not that good. I'm not the best artist, but I thought
I love it.
We had some paint, so I thought I'd give it a whirl. And the burnt part to symbolize the charred remains of their and how hard that was.
Right. But I'm also looking at that as a story being told with those illustrations, because they always use the hide from the animals.
Full circle. And I felt like the moose could be in the middle, but there was so much more than that. I thought the bridge kind of should have been like the central, and everything around the bridge and how he brought everybody from, even though the island didn't end up being the casino, everything kind of the prosperity of the tribe was his first concern, which is really selfless.
Right. Wow. That's so cool.
So,
well, is this the end of us? We don't have to meet anymore, do we?
No.
I